There are no more iconic bands. Oh, wait. Just kidding. You're just not looking in the right spots. Hey, it's me, Baxter.
And me, Jonathan.
Here at Casino Guitars, we're here to talk about bands.
Bands. We hate bands.
But there's always this chatter, like, and it happens, like, and now we're officially of the olds now.
I think we're old, yeah. Sadly.
So, and like, you think, oh, there's just no new music that's good anymore. No bands can be iconic anymore ever since 1989 or whatever it is. And I disagree wholeheartedly.
Ooh.
After we were just having our driving and crying.
Hot take.
Our driving and crying moments this morning.
I know we were listening back.
We were going hardcore with that, but it's okay. Let's talk about it. So I think you just got to know where to look, and you got to figure out what generation you are, and like then keep your ears open, because right around the corner behind us, like 2008, there were so many great bands that launched in that period, and this is even, I'm gonna go back even further from that later, but that are sort of becoming like huge again. You know, like Vampire Weekend. You got the Arctic Monkeys,
right?
1975 type style bands, and those are all sort of having like not a renaissance, but like almost their best works they've ever made, and their biggest audiences they've ever played to.
Just kind of wild.
MGMT. This last album is probably their best album since their initial launch.
Yeah, I see a lot of those things like Vampire Weekend. I just was never into, so you would know more about those.
Because I listen to weird, squirrely music with funny instruments.
You're hip and young.
I'm a hipster.
Oh, hip.
I consider myself one of the old school hipsters, like the old guard. Back, when like going into Brooklyn thinking we're cool. Like, I don't listen to iPods. I listen to my CD Walkman. I don't
skips a little every now and again.
I had the anti-skip feature. I had the $60 one.
It only worked so we went so far though.
It was so good. It's no, but there are so many better bands than people think, and they're becoming iconic. Let's jump a little further back, 2004 to 1999. Bands like the Strokes forming, and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and Interpol, and like that sort of New York new wave. The Strokes that are now playing major festivals all over the world. Yeah Yeah Yeahs had their best probably album maybe ever just come out. And
I'm sort of with you, but like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, do you think they're iconic?
I think they're
big.
They're iconic.
Are they iconic?
They're iconic in the fashionista way.
Okay.
Like almost like there's always like the most popular bands like I'm trying to think like the pop ones that are on the radio at the time, which we'll get into in a minute, which I think can also be big. But then there's the ones that sort of live kind of like Blondie in a weird way. Like they had a couple of huge hits, but then they stayed the cool, or like God, who's the one that crossed over? Talking Heads. Like
Well, do you think that part of the thing about us not seeing, or some people not recognizing it, is that there are more, like when you sort of distill it back down to the late 60s, 70s, it seemed like there was just one set, there was Led Zeppelin, there was the Beatles, there was that stuff, right? And it kind of fanned out into all these genres. Because I can think of bands like, I think in some circles, like Matchbox 20 would be iconic. Or like some of these 90s bands that were like, not like rock, they were like that soft.
They were so close. I think the one of those, I think Hootie.
I think Hootie's getting there.
Hootie is, and you're telling me they're going on tour?
They're getting ready to go on tour. With one of my favorites, Evan McCain. Because my wife loves Evan McCain. I love Evan McCain.
No.
I sent you a message, Edwin, on Instagram. So if you're seeing this, hit us up. Let us come do a rig rundown. It'll be fun.
No, but I mean, like, because I remember when Hootie came out, like I was into like the cool music at the time, so I didn't like Hootie.
Right.
But now that I'm a grown up and I listen to him, like, how did I just sort of miss how good this music was?
I will play a Hootie song at acoustic shows, and everyone always like, bam.
They're great songs.
They're great songs, and I mean, I remember them being like on Friends. Do you remember that, like the Friends episode about who? That was huge. That was a huge like pop culture.
Is Hootie like the Jimmy Buffett of the '90s? No, in a great way, because like I didn't understand the power of Jimmy until like this last year.
If you've not watched, do you know the Key and Peele, the Hootie thing where he's on stage? He's supposed to be Darius.
Oh yes.
If you've not watched that skit, it's hilarious.
Or the one about his when he takes his new friend down to listen to his country music that he sings.
Well, there's that one
of the best skits ever.
It could all tie together. But anyway.
If you haven't watched Key and Peele, we love Key and Peele. Now, and you go back even further. You go back in the '90s a bit further deep, and like you got bands like Radiohead.
Which I would say they are absolutely iconic. Like at this point, they're sort of legendary status.
Yeah, they sort of passed. They made that conscious choice in the '90s, like we're not going to be pop rock stars anymore. Whereas everybody was still trying to hold on that. We're just going to make music that's weird noise and awesome. And then they somehow made some whole new genre. They opened the doors for bands like Sigur Rós and allowed Bjork to be like normal pop music, which is crazy, which I love. We can talk about Bjork for hours. Can we just do that?
Your weird fascination with Bjork.
Just obsessed. That's a problem.
We haven't talked about it in a while, so
I know
it was
back.
time. It's been brewing.
Oh, I just miss that girl.
It's been brewing.
No, it's because we do because as part of we're going to stand up for the olds. It's hard to be like there's nothing like the Beatles. Well, there never will be anything like the Beatles.
No.
This was when rock and roll was being born, and Buddy Holly and type of things. But there's some great bands that you have to give them time, and now bands have figured out a way to survive.
R.E.M.
I mean, yeah, who would have thought? Well, they're like from the '80s.
Yeah, I guess my brain.
They're old.
They live in the '90s, but
no, but that's definitely '80s, Athens, Georgia style, and traveling with the B-52s, who have also become that, but. Even post, I mean, you look at this is weird, the resurgence of how they are crushing right now on tour, Limp Bizkit. Killing it.
I have a hard time thinking of Limp. I mean,
I love Me the Biscuit, so.
Some of it boils down to what is your definition of iconic? Because like in the Gene Simmons thing we were talking about, where he said that, quote about no iconic bands, which helped spur us talking about this. He's like, oh, you can't, don't tell me Nirvana because they only had 2 albums. So, I mean, I don't know that matters. I mean, Nirvana is pretty darn.
Well, they're like God status too. I mean,
I think the Foo Fighters are pretty iconic.
The Foo Fighters have become something that I don't think anyone thought they were going to become.
I remember when that first video, maybe not the first, but the Big Me one where it's like the Mentos like spoof, and I was like, well, this is funny, this is cool. Who would have thought? How many years ago was that? That's a long time.
It's like
20-something, right?
Yeah, I was like, it's not 30 years.
Not quite 30, but
that was still.
Who would have thought, man, this will be awesome and rock and have staying power, and Dave Grohl will be like the man. I mean,
like learning to fly, and like all the videos where like they're dressed in like wigs and stuff and being girls, and it's just
and then
funny.
He just kept it going.
One day we'll be like Tenacious D.
Why not?
It's which I love watching his net worth just rise over time too. God bless you. Both the Jacks, white and black, we love them both. I mean, the White Stripes, I'd say, have become an iconic band. And they're not a band anymore. No.
But just the fact
Jack White.
That the one song has sort of replaced like Smoke on the Water is the song that you learn when you're starting guitar. You learn Seven Nation Army.
It's a cooler song. It is it's fun to play. It's got great lyrics. And you watch them perform, that's one of the cool. Like you watch the videos of when the White Stripes are at their peak. There's nothing really that tops the cool of that.
It is very cool.
You might not be your style of music. You might not like what they're doing, but
there's this like sort of raw energy to that. It's just hard to not get into it when you're singing it.
I feel like they were like the precursor to Kill Bill. There's like this energy of like whatever, just the visuals and.
Right.
I need to watch more Quentin Tarantino films. Yeah, I did watch Scoop the other night. And that's the one about Prince Andrew. It was entertaining. It was it's not the greatest. It lives in the world of like Spotlight. Like they're trying, but very British. You almost need to put the subtitles on. It goes so fast. But no, that was a fun little movie.
There you go.
I think we're all going to go see Civil War coming out this week.
Well, yeah.
You going to see that?
Of course.
Okay, I want to see that. Excited. So that's our movie talk for the day. But no, I think
unless the real Civil War breaks out with the eclipse.
That'd be dope.
All the conspiracies.
Coming soon.
Oh my God, it was all over.
It's like don't close your ears. Like it took me a minute because I was sort of in the same bandwagon. Like, oh, there's no bands aren't as good as they used to be. I'm like I'm listening. I mean, that new Vampire Weekend record, the tracks that are out, unbelievable. And the artistic direction they chose to do on their videos they released, completely opposite of what you would think to help sell records. And I like that they're creating something to create art and music again in the way that some of the greatest bands, like I'm not saying they're like them, but it's the same theory of like what Pink Floyd was doing.
Right.
And some of the true great bands that we look at in history, it's nice to see those young bands that are still wanting to have that and
not just commercial, like some art, creating actual art, with some substance.
I've been talking about this for a while with my friends and my compatriots.
It's good.
Off of the YouTube of
it's a good thing.
Make music and art, not just pop hits.
I think that's smart.
And
That's good advice.
then the pop hits will follow, maybe. Or unless you already have pop hits, keep doing the same thing over and over, because that's great too. That's your thing. But this is even a funnier take. I mean, New Kids on the Block, Backstreet Boys, when NSYNC got together for that one show, like, people lost their minds. Justin Timberlake, that song's almost 20 years old, his solo stuff.
Oh, wow. That's
like,
wild.
he just did a Tiny Desk performance, and it's awesome. It's one of the better Tiny Desks I've seen in a long time. When he brought Sexy back. 43-year-old Justin Timberlake brought Sexy back. Looks great. His band is phenomenal. It's like 15 people in his band. Like, the whole thing is something. It's like unbelievable. Great musicians.
Are they all in the Tiny Desk thing?
Yes, it looks insane.
Okay.
They're like,
now I'm gonna need to see that. Okay.
Yeah,
very cool.
But it looks, I mean, his players, his one keyboard player looks like the musical director that's right next to him is just like, he's running it like a gospel church would have been run, and it's fantastic. That's the way music's supposed to be presented. You can tell it's tight, but it's also loose in all the best ways. And then Justin's up there just allowed to do his thing.
Killing it.
Got a megaphone out for the Sexy back. Awesome.
Okay, that's cool.
No, so it's the boy bands that we remember are classic. Baby Metal's over 10 years old, and she's gone.
Great.
Rest her soul. But so it's open your ears, open your hearts, open your eyes. Maybe like I've had a resurgence in love of new and new-ish music again.
Between you and Sean, you keep me like idols. I've just discovered.
Oh god, they're kind of amazing.
It's
right?
kind of awesome. I kind of like it. I forgot what's the name of the basement thing where the videos show.
Live from the basement.
Oh, killer. Super, super cool. I mean, there's a lot of trash out there right now too, don't get me wrong. But
there was always trash.
There's always trash.
The 60s was filled with garbage. The 70s was filled like AM.
But that stuff melts away and you forget it, right? You're like, it was amazing. It was a golden era. Well, it was, but there was a lot of trash too.
There's still some gems out there. Like, oh Lord, like I'm a huge Velvet Underground fan.
Yeah.
And I know they're objectively bad in so many ways.
It's true.
And like when I introduce them to young musicians in the upcoming, I'm like, I listen to this band. Louis is one of my favorites. The music's not really good in the way you think it's going to be good or sound good or engineered well. But
somehow
there's magic in it, and it's art. Help me.
They did it on purpose. It's fine.
I just love the Velvet.
What?
Well, it's like the first time you have your vegetables. It's like, ugh.
Okay.
It's like, but then you're like, oh, this is pretty good.
You get older and you're like, man, some nice Brussels sprouts would hit the spot.
I still.
It would really, if they're cooked right.
Everybody's like, oh, you put this, if you cover them with sauce and goop and flavor it.
Well, yeah.
It's
like you got to cover your broccoli with cheese.
I feel like that's what God was doing when he was designing broccoli. He was like, how far can we take this? How far will these humans go to be healthy? Yeah. Let's just make these things. And okra. There you go, kids.
There's some.
That's my thoughts. Anyway, I'm leaving.
You've never cut okra.
Click, lick, subscribe, and
the old bell. The iconic bell.
Just have fun out there. Enjoy music. Thanks for joining us. Peace be with you.
See you next time.
To all, good night.